Welcome to the Collab podcast. My name is Michelle.
And my name is Devin.
On this podcast, we explore concepts of self-mastery and community collaboration
Through in-depth panel discussions and intimate interviews with dance's most prominent figures.
Yeah, she my peanut butter jelly snack, pull it ride, but she painting. That's my sunshine when it's raining. That's my boo, yeah. When I'm all alone, she pull through. So when I catch that wave.
Welcome back to the Community Lab podcast. My name is Devin.
I'm Michelle.
And we're back with some very special guests for today. Some of 220's finest.
Hey. I don't know about that.
So let's go ahead and do quick introductions. Let's start with the man in the blue.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Dylan Banares. Hey.
Do you want to say how old you are and maybe how long you've been dancing on 220?
I'm 19, and this is my second year on 220.
Hi, I'm Ranny Fernandez. I am 20 years old and also my second year on 220.
Hey, I'm Ryan Quilapio. I'm 19 and this is also my second year.
I'm David Dioso. I'm 19 and it's my second year.
How do you guys like it so far?
Yeah, it's super welcoming. It's like nothing that I expected, like never expected to be with these guys right here.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. We're just going to be diving into some of your dance experience and also kind of talking about your guys' friendship because you have formed sort of a very tight-knit group, it looks like. It took us a while to get set up today, but you guys made the time fly because you guys were doing your own little thing.
All right, so I know that I have a question because my brother Jordan danced on 220, and I felt like when he was dancing on 220, he very quickly made sort of the same connections that you guys have as friends with his own group of friends. So does 220 sort of help that culture build? I mean, what sort of things does 220 do to help sort of build these friendships outside of the team itself?
I think it has to do with a lot of like the traditions and the culture that we uphold. Like with 220, we always start with love first and family first. Like even before auditions, we make sure that we're welcoming to each other, and just even like our first rehearsal, we made sure that, like, you know, we made sure that all the newbies felt welcome, make them already feel a part of the team, even though it's like their first day. I think that's the biggest thing. We just try to instill that tradition and culture.
Yeah, I think so. But I think the biggest thing that they emphasized was that you need to be able to give your all to the team, and it'll like be reciprocated back. And that was like the biggest help, I think, for all of us, like to just give us our all to the team, and like it just came back like 2-3 folds.
Did you find it, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, did you find it difficult to kind of go in with that mentality, or was it easy for you to say, I'm going to give this team, you know, my all so that I can get the same in return? Or was it difficult for you to make that decision to say, well, I don't know if that's something I want to commit to?
In terms of like giving 220 like my all?
Yeah.
I feel like at first it's kind of like you don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
But like once you give it a little bit, like 220 gives right back. Mm-hmm. And then when you give a little more, it keeps giving right back. So once you get a little taste of that little bit, and then you do give your more, it just reciprocates back and forth, and it just makes you want to push and like give your all towards 220.
Yeah, it sounds like a really supportive environment of your guys' growth as well, because you're giving value, but you're also getting something amazing back, which I think is probably why you guys decided to go back for your second season, right? Or your second year. I don't know how 220 does their like thing. Is their season a full year, or is it like 6 months? How does that work?
Almost a year. Yeah, you get like a month, 2 months off.
How do you guys balance being on 220 or just your dance life in general with other responsibilities that you guys have going on, like school, work, family, friends?
For me, I do school, full-time student, just 13 units. And I also work at the courthouse. When there's no school, I'm full-time there. But when there is school, I'm part-time. And balancing that, it's like I have to wake up at 6 a.m. to be at work by 8 take the trolley. It's a lot of balancing because the night before I might have like dance stuff or kicking it with friends. And balancing school on top of that, it does get hectic, but some of 220's like keywords or something like that, they focus on balance a lot. Like one of their main focuses is balance. So it does get rough, but we do have each other for support. We can look to each other and balance. It's really like key.
Yeah, I feel like I can't really talk too much about being able to balance it because it's still something that I'm trying to learn. It really helps having like those mentors on 220 and just people you can go to. And I think the biggest like advice or the most helpful advice that I've been given is that don't try to force or like tackle stress or like all the things on your plate like head on. Like you always need to remember to give time for yourself. Self-care and just like don't try to do too much and always like look towards like your friends and like the people you look up to for help.
Do you see your being part of 220 as part of your self-care? Because I know for me, when I was on a team, that was like my outlet. Like that was my sacred place. So if I was having a crappy day, I looked forward to going to rehearsal at the end of the day and just letting it all out, and going full out and giving my all. So for me, that felt like kind of my personal time. So I feel like it's probably easier to balance everything that you've got going on when you see your team as sort of that sacred place that you can go to just kind of like let it all out, right? Mm-hmm. Would you guys feel the same? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's one of the things that's really special about dance, that if you're a non-dancer, it's hard to understand that. It's hard to grasp that, right? And that kind of leads me into my next question. And I think that this is a big topic for discussion coming from an Asian family. My grandmother is old school Filipina, right? And so when you're talking about work, when you're talking about being a professional, you're talking about being a nurse, you're talking about being a doctor, you're talking about being a lawyer, you're talking about working at a bank. You're not talking about being a dancer, right? Mm-hmm. Fortunately for Devin and Dylan and myself and my brother Jordan, my dad grew up in a very artistic home. And so when we decided that we wanted to do all these artistic things, we got a lot of support from my parents. But it can be a challenge. Like I know my grandma used to question my parents about why we weren't in school or why we weren't doing this and that and why we didn't have a job, right? Because we were focusing on dance. So
she still does.
Yeah, she still does. So like, what's been your experience in your homes with dance and trying to bring that to the forefront? Have you found that to be challenging with your parents?
For me, it's more of like my mom who's like kind of like, oh, why are you still doing dance? She's always telling me like, now this is gonna be your last season. Like back on junior teams and high school teams, she was always telling me like, dance isn't gonna get you anywhere, or like you're spending so much time on dance. Like what about school? And when she does tell me that, I'm kind of I let it through one ear and out the other because like I know that I love dance, and going back to balance, it is balancing between the two. But bringing it towards my parents, it gets rough, like talking to them about it, because they want me to focus on school. It's gonna be hard to get their blessing to like if I did want to pursue dance full time, it's gonna be hard to get their blessing for me to pursue it all the way. So yeah, that's for me. It's hard to get my parents to get me into dance.
Because they grew up where school was the only option to live life, but now it's like you can do everything and make money.
Yeah, it's hard to get them to understand. Yeah, because they're my parents are a little older. They're pretty old. When I talk to them about it, they don't seem to like understand the joy in it. Yeah. And that goes for maybe like all non-dancers, because like I'll talk to my coworkers like, oh, you dance until like 1 a.m. And I'll be like, yeah, it's life. That's the life right there. Yeah. And yeah, just pretty much I feel like it's for like all most non-dancers in general. It's just hard for them to understand like what we have going on.
My parents have been more on the supportive side. Because me and my little brother, we've been dancing back home in Oxnard. We've been dancing like since we were little, so like I think at first they didn't get it. Like they just saw a bunch of kids dancing like at a parking lot, like for crazy hours, like all day, and then like they didn't get it. But as the years went on, they became more and more supportive. And I think what set my mom to be really supportive of it is when back home my old director, he set up like a parent group, and then my mom came home after one practice and she's like, I get it now why you guys practice so much. And I was like, yep. See? But like she got it, and she understood why like we love this so much, and like why it's such a passion of ours. And I think now where my parents stand on it is that they're completely supportive of it as long as I'm on top of my school stuff and I'm on top of like everything in my life outside of dance. So I'm pretty lucky about that.
Well, and even for Dylan, like I know that like our parents are very supportive, but there's a lot of times where I've heard our mom say like, again, you're going to practice again? What time are you going to be home, right? So like even though for the most part they support it, I think that there's a little bit of resistance from mom with you like being on 220 and being out so late sometimes, because your rehearsals go till, 1, 2 a.m., right? So I think even you experience a little bit of resistance from mom. I don't think dad cares as much.
I feel like dad understands the most because, I mean, he helped build the studio that we had.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm going to tell mom. I'm going to tell mom that dad's your favorite. I'm just kidding.
You know what I mean? I think mom grew up under our grandma, and our grandma is very traditional.
Yeah.
And I feel like mom still kind of has that mindset that grandma tried putting into her, where it's like, why are you going to practice all the time?
Yeah.
Like, are you not going to practice? Like, are you doing something else? I don't think that she's resisting the idea. I think she's just worried about where I'm at all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, obviously I'm practicing all the time, but I think it's just a mom being worried about her son.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, she wants what's best for me, and how she grew up, what was best to do was go to school, get a degree, get a job. And that's going to set you up for life. But, we're in this generation now where you can really make a living out of anything. And I think that's what the four of us are trying to do right now, is just put our craft out there and get noticed and then share it with people, Yeah. It's hard being Asian.
Also, just being someone who is trying to go outside the norm of what is considered a career or the right path, what we've seen like as socially acceptable. Because now you guys are right. Like you guys are this new generation where being able to do things like with your hands or your body is super important, because we're going to see a lot of careers become obsolete in the next like 5, 10, 20 years. And I think it's a little bit hard for our parents to understand that. But I really want to talk a little bit about how much you guys spend time and energy wise, because we mentioned that you guys are doing some really late rehearsals, but you guys are still like not tired of it. How do you explain that to someone who isn't as motivated as you, or isn't in the dance community at all?
I'm trying to think of like an example, like you go to school to get a degree, get a certain job you want. Like you go in a specific field. Like let's say you want to be an engineer, you go to engineering school, but you have to go through like how many years of school just to get that degree. And, for the non-dancers, they're just, you go there, you keep going to school because you want to be an engineer. And, as a dancer, you keep dancing and you keep practicing and you keep going to practices because you want to be the best dancer you can be, the most authentic dancer you can be to yourself. And yeah, I think it's just that constant hunger and just that drive. You're like, I know I can be better, so I'm going to push to be that better.
So you talk about this like never ending goal, right? That you're trying to reach. Isn't that kind of discouraging at times? Like knowing that you'll never reach that goal, like, cause it's just never ending?
I think more times than not, it's not discouraging because, especially like when you go to practice, there's just this unspoken like vibe that everyone shares. Like when you're dancing, it's kind of like a drug that like you can't like get enough of. That like every practice you want to come back just to feel that again. It just feels good to dance, and dancing is just like something natural, something like that your body just wants to do when you hear music. So I think more times than not, you're not really discouraged because it just feels good to be dancing with like people that you love and like your friends and like especially the team that you love, like 220. I think that's what kind of pushes me to just show up, show out like all the time, and I don't think I really get discouraged too much.
Yeah, I think one thing that I'm finding as we talk to more dancers and we talk to the community, and I don't think it's as much recognized, is that dancers have this really crazy mindset to just keep going beyond their wildest dreams. And I think that a lot of people, when they think about dancers, they don't think about that. Like they think about their creativity and they think about their talent, but they don't really fully understand what it takes and what is in the mind of a dancer. And the more dancers that we talk to, I'm realizing that that dancers in general have this crazy mindset to just always want to improve. And that's something that's not a quality that you see in a lot of other professions. And I think that makes, as dancers, that makes you guys really unique. Kind of going with that, I mean, is dance something that you guys see as a future profession? Is that because you're talking about constantly improving and wanting to get better? Are those part of some of your goals in life, is to be a dancer? And if so, what does that mean? What do you see dance propelling you into?
Oh, for me, like dance, I feel like it sucks that I am going to school, and at the same time, since I'm doing dance, I don't know what exactly I want to do in both, to be honest. I do definitely enjoy dance way more than school, obviously. I think anyone would. But in pursuing dance, like as a profession, I feel like I don't know if I would do that yet. Probably, it's like, for me, it's more of a mental thing. I feel like it's, I don't understand my true potential yet. And I feel like once I do see my potential, I feel like that's when like everything will click and like more growth will come my way, more opportunities, and that's when it'll click that like this is definitely what I want to do and what I can do. So like that's all, it really is all mental at that point, because like definitely over time you're gonna get better as a dancer. Same thing with school. The more you go to school, the more knowledge you'll get. It is all mental to see like how you want to push yourself and put yourself out there, the things you want to do in dance. And I know David has like visions for his profession in dance. It's really wild.
I picture like the dance community as like super new and so much that you could do. I don't know, just to like make dance bigger than what it is right now. Like the way I want to do it is like make it super big worldwide, as big as the music industry, to like the point where like big music artists collab with really big dancers. This balance between music and dance, because without music there's no dance.
Before we actually recorded the episode, we reached out to you guys just to get a little bit more information about you, and one of the tidbits that we gathered was, on average, how many hours a week you spend dancing.
And the reason why we found this little factoid so interesting is because they say that when you're on a journey in any sort of craft, if you want to be a master, it requires 10,000 hours. And this is just an estimation. But remember, the magic number here is 10,000 for master. Yeah, a master in any craft.
So, Ranny, you're at 4,732 hours.
Damn. Master.
I mean, that's not too far off, really, when you look at the bigger picture and you look at the perspective. Ryan, you're already at 3,120 hours. Yeah, I mean, like when you were saying like 5 years doesn't feel like a lot of time, when you put it into hours and you put it into that context, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like that's 3,000 hours of your life. Dylan, you're at 4,576 hours.
Hey, what's going on?
And David, you're at 5,824 hours.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I think it's pretty amazing. I mean, a lot of times when we dance, we just go, right? You just go to take class, you go to rehearsal, you say, I'm going to be at rehearsal for 3 hours, but you...
And then you end up being there for like 5.
Yeah, but you never put it into the context of like working towards being a master. And so we wanted to share that information with you guys because we feel like that's so key, especially if you're thinking about dance as a career. Like, you guys are not far off. A couple more years and you guys will, by definition, be masters in your craft.
So after hearing that number, does that change in any way how you guys feel about dance? Does it make you more excited for the things that you set out to do?
For me personally, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't really change much because I already have my mindset on my main goal, just teaching internationally.
Whoa, trying to step up that game, Dylan Banares. Shout out.
Shout out Spain. But I mean, I don't want to... I feel like, of course, you should, set a goal for yourself, but I don't want to set myself to like a deadline or to like a time frame. I mean, of course, that's like a cool factoid.
He taught internationally.
Well, like, you know what I mean, like around the world. And you're about to.
Really? Where?
Philippines, same.
Nice!
Shout out.
They haven't confirmed it yet, like the actual date, but like I'm going to the Philippines around January 1st to the 14th.
What about you guys, Ryan, Ranny? Did that number, seeing or hearing the hours, affect the way that you think about your goals?
Hearing the hours, like knowing, or that little definition, 10,000 hours, right? 10,000 hours?
Yeah.
Makes you a master at your craft. I feel like it's like kind of subjective because the hours, like you could be putting in super hard work in 1 hour and like the other hour you're just chilling. It really is on how hard you work in those hours. Because let's say I'm only dancing for 5 years, but Randy's dancing for 13 years, and I'm like killing the game while Randy's just like, he's just there, I'm not saying that's how it is.
Bro, you want to dance?
That's better. But yeah, if that's the way it is, it is like how hard you want to put in your work into your craft. Hearing how long, on average, of how many hours I've actually been dancing, I feel like it does kind of change it because I was thinking like, oh, maybe I could have worked harder within those 3,000 hours. Did I waste those 3,000 hours? Yeah. I could be like way better right now, but it's like another way to look at it.
Well, it's exactly what 220 is teaching you, right? You get back what you put in.
Hey, shout out 220.
I put 16 hours, but like the days that I didn't put, like I'm still thinking about like dance and stuff. Yeah, I'm still thinking about like what I can do to level up. Just not just moves, but like the stuff around me, like stage, music.
That's an awesome point that you're bringing up. So I know that you guys spend a lot of hours actually dancing, but do you do anything special to prepare for dance? Do you guys do any like sort of meal planning, training outside of rehearsal, recovery? Do you guys have anything in your regimen that helps?
I think keeping your overall fitness to the best. Yeah.
I think that's another thing that the dance community, or what I feel like these next gen dancers, it's
more and more athletic.
Yeah,
athleticism.
We're trying to like just make it a point that dancers are athletes.
Yeah.
And we do train and we do condition our bodies and we do push to the extremes to get the product that we want. And it's just mostly just what Randy said, just keeping your top fitness, eating the right things. I mean,
we just have candy out. Well, yeah, and I think that's really important because, I mean, we used to say when we had the studio open, we used to say that it was really important to condition and focus on fitness because, if we wanted to be taken seriously as dancers, then we needed to train like athletes, right? And I think that is missed. I think that on 220, I hear Dylan talk about, how you guys condition a lot. And so I think on 220, that's a focus. But, some of these more junior teams, I think that's lacking. What do you guys think? I think they just want to dance, which is great, right? Because we want motivated dancers, but I think they're missing that aspect of, okay, well, you actually need to train as athletes. You need to condition, you need to nurture your body and take care of yourself.
Not just that, like, not just, like, being athletic, but just being different. Like, they all want to dance the same stuff, you know?
No shade towards anyone.
Yeah, no shade. I mean, I think it's just like putting it into a perspective of like, you know, a sport, right? You join a team and there's expectations. You show up to practice, but you also have to do some training on your own. So there's sort of a gap between dancers and like regular sports. Obviously, there's the creative component that makes it different. Do you guys, in your opinion, consider dance to be a type of sport?
I think I've looked up the definition of sport once, talking about this topic.
Yeah.
I think it was like two competing sides, something like that. Blah, blah, blah. What does it say?
It is an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment.
Well,
Then I would definitely call dance sport.
Into that, yeah.
by definition.
Absolutely.
It's competitive, physical recreation, physical activity.
Physical exertion.
If you really think about it, I mean, I might be hella stretching it, but like in regular sports, when it's football or like basketball, these coaches, I feel like there's a creative aspect in those regular sports because they have to come up with plays, analyze their opposing team, see what they're doing, and see what their team can improve on. Dance is a sport. What are you talking about?
I don't disagree. I think we're kind of all in agreement that we consider dance to fall under the definition of a sport. And you guys can tell me if you've experienced different, but I feel like it's not treated in the same regard. I think sports is taken very seriously, and dance has yet to be put sort of on a similar competitive platform, like gaming competitions on ESPN. Why are there not like dance competitions on ESPN?
There are like ABDC, but like that's it.
But it wasn't really like, this is just coming from me and what I observe. I feel like the reason why it's not being treated as a sport is because I feel like dance right now is being treated as a fad. Like clout, like a trend.
What is this clout? Clout with a T? I need some education here.
You're just chasing fame. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are trying to do.
What's that song?
Do everything for clout. Really? Yeah, do anything for clout. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Is that J. Cole?
I don't know.
In the stoop. But yeah, I think that it's just being treated as a trend, and you know, people are just doing it to be a part of the trend and feel a part of something that's cool or like that's getting big right now. I mean, of course, dance is getting bigger by the day.
It's not as big as you see it in
Yeah.
your dreams. And I think in most dancers' dreams, because we envision, I think you articulated it really well, right? Because when we think about dance, we think, yes, we want it to become more mainstream, but you were talking about having it global be equivalent to like what music is. You know, music is in every part of our lives. You know, you're cleaning, you turn the music on, you go in your car, you turn the music on. And so I think having dance be elevated to that level is not something that a lot of people have thought about. And kind of leads me to my next question. Something that I'm curious about is, you know, with dance, obviously not as popular as you know we dream for it to be, but it has gained a lot of traction, and part of it is, to Dylan's point, because people are trying to get clout and they're chasing fame. So with the community becoming so quickly saturated, how do you guys stay relevant in a community that is constantly having all of these things change? I mean, what do you do to stay relevant in the community?
I don't know, I guess do things that people have never seen before with dance.
Just stay true to yourself and be original, and don't fall into like the trends and like what the cool kids are doing the clout stuff, like things that bring you clout, hitting that. Yeah, clout. But you know what I mean. Yes. But you know what I mean, like just staying true to yourself, not forcing yourself to change to fit into the norm. That's like the purpose of us trying to pursue this dance thing, is to make something out of our lives that's outside of the norm, outside of the box. I feel like you have to stay true to yourself and do the same thing within dance because you're dancing. Like it's all full circle.
The only thing I want to preach when I dance, like when people see my dance stuff, I want them to get inspired and do something different, get creative. Don't be like me, don't be like Ryan, don't be like Dylan. Be yourself. I'm sorry. Don't be like Ranny. Just create whatever you want to create. If you like what Ranny does, get inspired. Do something like that, but your own twist, your own style.
I think that's a super powerful message, especially because not just in dance, but in everyday life, we're being told how we should act, right? Like there's certain social acceptances that we need to follow through on. So I really love that you said be true and be original. Don't feel like you have to copy someone else because they do it a certain way.
Well, and I love what you said because it's easy to confuse inspiration with copying, right? And plagiarizing, right? Because I mean, it's easy to kind of get sucked into it, right? Like you're like, oh, I love him. I want to be exactly like him. I want to dance exactly like him. But it's sometimes confusing to discern inspiration versus just straight out copying. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important. I think it's like you guys were saying, it's mentality. It's all in the mindset, making sure that you stay true to yourself.
I guess if you're like stealing ideas from one source, and that's like copying. If you're getting ideas from different sources and you're putting it all you're forming it into like your own thing, and that's like inspiration.
I'm curious to know, have you guys ever experienced someone copying or stealing choreography from you?
I copy from Dylan all the time. Nah, this is one piece. No, I always ask though, because I always ask Dylan. I'm like, yo, Dylan, I like that move. I'm gonna use it.
So you ask permission.
Yeah. That's the one thing you're supposed to do. Ask permission. Yeah. I'm like, hey Ryan, that was pretty cool what you did with the legs. I'm gonna do that.
So if you want to copy someone's moves, first you have to flatter them.
Yeah. You'll be like, yo, that's the best move I've ever seen. I'm gonna steal that.
It's the best in there?
Yeah. It's like stealing someone's joke. I like that joke. Yeah. I like that joke. Steal it.
Okay, how about Ryan and Ranny? Have you guys ever experienced someone like stealing or copying your moves?
I feel like we share moves all the time.
I don't think it's so much stealing.
But that's a collaborative effort, right?
We
It's
just
not really stealing. Yeah.
I think we just all vibe. We just all have like this one wavelength, and then we just all vibe off each other and just take each other's moves. Yeah.
We all dance to like different songs. We all move to different, but like I like that move. Give it to me.
Give it to me.
I love it. What I really like about your guys' interactions, I guess a better word for it would be your friendship, is that it seems to like come so natural, and you guys don't seem to like take offense. David's stealing Dylan's moves with permission, but you guys are just like so chill about it. Was it always like that when you guys first started hanging out?
Oh, sorry, let me get into the mic. Can you hear me? I think right off the bat we were just like bouncing off each other. No, okay, that sounded hella wrong. That sounded hella wrong.
We'll have to edit that out.
No, we're like, we're just on this. We're on the same wavelength.
How do you come back from that?
I'm gonna let someone else talk. I can't. Go, Randy.
I think what he's trying to say is that we all look cool.
Yeah, you guys do. Do you remember what it was like? Do you remember your first impressions of each other?
I hated Ryan. No, I'm kidding.
All right, for me though, I was really I met Dylan first, then David, then Ranny. When I first met Dill, we were both in Ill Habits. I was intimidated, so intimidated by this guy. So intimidated by Dylan. It was the weirdest thing ever. Yeah.
Just kidding.
And then David, I was intimidated by too. Same thing with Ranny. I think it's because growing up I was always like a fanboy. Even though it's just a small community, like they're just regular people, but knowing that they're like tight, super cool, at first you're like, whoa, this is really him. Yeah? Even though they're just regular guys, but getting to know them more and more, it's like these guys are regular people, these are sick, they're so chill to be around, and then after that it's like we clicked. Like when we first all joined the team, and then from there it's just...
I joined the team later.
Yeah, he joined the team later, but...
Like, it didn't even matter, because...
It didn't matter, really.
For me, Dylan and Ryan, when way back, like in junior competitions, I would say hi to them, but like we didn't really like talk
It's just a
like
hi.
that.
It's just
It's
a
just
hi,
like,
bye,
oh, what's
hi,
up? We know each
good
other.
job.
We knew of each other. What's up? What's up?
You were on NIDC.
Yeah, NIDC
And-
110,
and 110.
and then Ranny joined 110, and I was like, damn, so cool. I'm gonna beat him up. So cool. Damn.
How about you, Ranny? What was your first
Oh,
impression?
Ranny was like, oh, sorry. I don't know, when Ranny joined the team, on 110, the junior team, he motivated me to like get better and stuff.
Those are the best type of people to be around.
It was like, dang, he's so good.
I think with me, I met them all different times, and it's been like pretty recent, 1 or 2 years, because I moved down to San Diego 2 years ago for school. The different times that I met these three, it was just like a connection, like right off the bat. Like I wasn't even looking for like a friendship or I was, but I wasn't looking for like a best friend kind of friendship. That no, wait, let me finish. But like it was just like, all right, you're like a homie that like I dance with. But then, like, as time went on, we just started hanging out more together. Like, I realized that I've never experienced, like, friendships with these three that have come so fast and so, like, natural. I've made, like, the bestest friends that I've made, like, with these three.
You better stop, bro.
You know what I mean? And, like, we just make each other better. And, like, it's just fun dancing with these guys and just hanging out. And, like, it's a vibe. You feel me?
I love that. That's amazing.
I feel like I need to bring out some tissues. I see some tears.
I first met David. Through NI, because I remember I did the NI summer training, and that's when I really start to like, get to know David a little bit. And I've seen him around competitions. I just thought this dude is super dope. I remember seeing his choreo project for NI the first time. Was it the Pony remix?
Ooh,
I was like, bro, this guy's super dope. I want to be his friend. But then
You never reached out to me.
I joined Ill Habits. Then I joined Ill, and then I met Ryan. I found out he was captain for UCHS all male competition. I was like, dude, a fellow all male guy. I was like, heck yeah, let me get close to this guy. And we got close for a little bit on Ill, and then that kind of like faded away for a little bit because we started going like our own path for a little bit. That fateful day on 220. That fateful day.
Audition day.
I met Ranny audition day. I forgot what he said to me. You said,
What's up, bro? I like your pants.
nah.
Hey, you're cute.
No, it was at our first meeting. He was like,
First meeting.
he was like, oh, what's up, bro? My name's Ranny. I was like, oh, what's up? He's like, I really like your Habits choir project. I was like, what the heck? I was like, this guy's weird. But then, yeah, and then we just started hanging out more, and these are like legit. If I had brothers the same age as me, well, except for Annie, if I had brothers close in age with me, like these would be my guys, like for real.
Wow, that's so
love you
nice. That's really nice. Well, and I love that you guys kind of know about each other's work, which seems so like it shows like a level of respect because you made yourself aware of each other's choreo and other things that each other was working on before you even knew that person, or you were aware of it. And I think it shows a level of respect for each other that a lot of people outside of dance I don't think could really understand. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like in the dance community, you know a guy that knows 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 you.
Yeah.
It's like all connected. We're all connected, basically.
So I know that we talked a lot about dance actually. So we're gonna kind of switch gears here. I just want to know what are some of your interests outside of dance?
I just like anything, I put making music. I make mixes sometimes for like dance groups, sometimes for 220, sometimes for 110. I started like just messing around on a laptop like 2 years ago, a year ago, I think. I was like, oh, how you make music like this? Like you can't play any instruments, like you can still make beats on a laptop.
Yeah.
Like I can't play any instruments, maybe the drums a little bit, but if you like really like practice and like really learn, like if you're really like into it, you can really like do anything.
I like to play video games. Dude, right now I'm stuck on Apex, and I just got on Destiny 2.
Hey.
So I'm getting to that.
Suicide Squad.
Shout out Suicide Squad. But before dance, I had full interest in basketball. Yeah, until I got an injury, then that kind of forced me into dance, and then I started to love it. Now it's my main passion, my main interest right now.
For me, it was also basketball, volleyball, just like sports, anything that deals with like fitness. I started going to the gym a lot more, trying to stay fit. Yeah, well, I played basketball and volleyball in high school. Played basketball first 3 years, and then by my senior year, I had to pick dance or basketball. Pieced out of my basketball team.
Because you weren't tall enough or what?
Yeah, it was also hard because everyone's like over 6 feet, and then it's just me. But yeah,
That's what's great about dance, you know, you have to be tall. You can be short, you can be tall. You feel me?
Give me any side.
I really love soccer. Like my parents, or our parents, they would get me like soccer gloves, like new
Soccer pants,
soccer balls, like new soccer shoes. Like I was deep into soccer, and then got into dance. Been dancing ever since, and right now I'm really into cars. So hit me up if you're about that slam life, if you're about that loud exhaust life. And I'm getting back into kendama. It's coming back. I'm bringing it back.
My neighbor asked about your car.
Oh yeah, Kuya JP told me.
Yeah, our neighbor. He was like, do you guys have that new Corolla? The new Corolla I always see in your driveway? I was like, no, that's my brother's car.
At the Michelle's neighbor, hit me up if you want to race. I'll dust you.
Well, and this is off topic. We can cut this out. Have you guys seen Dylan's famous Jabbawockeez video?
Oh,
No. I think I have. I pulled it up, right?
No.
I swear I pulled
You were in the Jabbawockeez?
No, he was definitely not in the Jabbawockeez. We'll pull it up and we'll watch. We'll record your reaction to it.
Hey, put your phone away.
Like it's in my recent.
It's in my recent
Wait, what?
It's my recent.
Here, well, I'll bring it up on the computer, Ryan.
It's for our React channel.
Yeah.
reaction. On the.
Hey, wait, we're gonna watch it later, bro.
Later.
And then we're gonna react to Ryan's freshman performance.
Oh, yeah. So we asked you guys to provide a link to a video of choreography that sums you up best as a dancer. So for those of you who are listening in on the podcast, we'll have that in the show notes. And then you guys watching on YouTube, you guys can check the description box below. But in one word, how would you describe yourself as a dancer?
That's hard. That's a hard question.
Let me switch it up. How would you describe each other in one word as a dancer? David, if you would describe Dylan in one word, what is the style like?
He goes hard. Hard. For Ranny, I'll go smooth. For Ryan, he's like always like floating in the air for some reason. So I would say light, smooth, strong.
That's gonna be hard.
I describe Dylan as powerful. It's almost the same thing as hard. Powerful.
I said strong, not hard.
Ranny. I'll come back to Ranny.
That's messed up.
I can't find the right word. Now, if you guys can see it for yourself.
No words. David, he's very, I don't want to say swag, because it's better than swag.
I don't know.
if better than swag could be one word, it'd be better than swag. Ranny is I feel like he's like a combination of all four of us for some reason. So I say Ranny's balanced.
Dill, I think I would use the word exploring.
Yeah.
Dora.
Dora.
I use the word Dora. Boots. Yeah, I think just because when he attacks choreography, he always tries to explore different and new things with his body, even just to watch his process. Ryan, breath, because it's just all one big breath, just
good breath.
flow. He has good breath. His breath never stink.
Even in the morning when he wakes up.
So mint.
It smells better in the morning.
Oh, that's weird. That's a separate episode, guys.
David, I would use feel, because I think like the things that he creates and like the way he dances, like especially like doing his choreography, it just feels good. And like he just does like, or he choreographs, like I feel like it's based off like what he's feeling like to the song. Like if it's like a Travis song or like something hype, like he makes you feel like you're actually like in a concert, like doing the choreo, like, and yeah.
Starting off with Ranny, I describe him as like another word for balance is probably like universal. I think Ranny has like a lot of he has a lot of technique and just a lot under his belt. He just has a lot to put out there. You can tell when he dances, it's just, you never know what he's gonna do. Like everything he does, it's just like, oh, he can do that, he can do that. Like, damn, I didn't know he can do that. Ryan, he's very like soft spoken. It's not where he's like attacking it, where it's like super explosive, but he's still getting his point across. You know, he's still putting that intention behind his movement, and I think that's what gives him that title of being so soft spoken, because when he dances, it just looks like he's not even trying.
Effortless.
There you go.
And then David,
I feel like I'm gonna use like a weird ass word, but I think David brings a lot of drip. Watching David dance and especially like these past 2 rehearsals, we did one day medleys. We had to create something for an hour, and I don't know, just seeing David do his thing, especially for like our first day, and I knew that was all you. It was just like he just brings some sort of different energy and just this different type of hype, and it's just crazy. It's crazy to watch him dance. Yeah, it's just drip, man.
All right. So I think before we get into our final question, we're going to do a quick segment of rapid fire. So just on the spot, I'm going to ask you a question. We'll give you like 10 seconds. Okay. So 5 seconds. All right. Okay. Starting with Dylan. Here we go. 5 seconds. Ready? Favorite 220 medley?
The radio show medley.
Arena 2018.
Vibe 2015, I think, where Slow was in it.
Ooh, for me, it would be the bum set.
Let's go. Starting with Ranny. If you could train with one choreographer for the rest of your dance journey, who would it be?
Keone.
Probably Chris Martin.
Lyle Beniga.
Don't copy me.
Okay, starting with Ryan. Class or freestyle?
Ooh, probably more of a class guy.
Oh, freestyle guy.
Freestyle all the way, baby.
Freestyle.
Starting with David. Competition or showcase?
Showcase.
Competition.
Competition.
Dang, competitive.
Sounds even different.
All right, I have a few more. I think these last ones, well, the last 2 are fun, but one more dance one. Going back to Dylan, one song or full medley?
Full medley.
Full medley.
Full medley.
Full medley.
Starting with Ryan, Zarlitos or Trujillos?
Okay, I'm feeling Trujillos right now, though. At the moment, Trujillos.
I haven't been to the second one, so I'm going to say Dorlitos.
Trujillos, baby.
Zarlitos.
Awesome. All right. So our final question, we'll give you longer than 5 seconds to actually think about it, but we want to leave our listeners with a bit of inspiration, a bit of motivation. And so at the end of every episode, we ask either ourselves or our guests what's good in the dance community. Well, like last week, Devin talked about how her and Dylan saw Brian Poos Poos at Walmart.
Puspos.
Filipino. Puspos. Yeah, at the Walmart.
Yeah, we saw him modeling. So that was my what's good in the dance community. It was a little bit silly, but it was just kind of cool to see that dance is sort of reaching these new platforms.
I think I've seen a lot of advertisement lately with dancers and clothing brands. Lately, I've seen Ian Eastwood with Champion, and same thing with Choreo Cookies with Champion, nice. And then Ray Hada, I believe she's with, correct me if I'm wrong, Nike Tokyo, and she's a Nike Air Force One's ambassador, and I saw a post from her like where she's in Nike, the Nike in Tokyo, and like she's all over the walls. I think that's her. So I feel like a lot of dancers are starting to get into, dancer brands, or I guess you could call them dancer brands now, or like just nice clothes for us dancers to be sponsored by. Hoping for some sponsorships. Hit us up. Hit 220 up.
I don't really follow the stuff, so I don't know what is going on. Like, I'm just doing it myself.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for everyone's like so respectful and like sharing their own craft. Like especially in social media, like people are sharing other people's craft, and then if you share your craft, then you get the same energy back.
But whenever you guys take class or like someone has choreo projects, your guys' Instagram story is just reposts of other people sharing the love, which I think is crazy. Because you guys will have like 20 or 30 little clips in your Instagram story. And it just goes to show that there is a lot of support. And like you said, respect, right? For sharing other people's craft.
Because at the end of the day, we're just trying to be big community. And the only way to do it is like supporting each other.
All right, what I thought of right now is just grateful for opportunities like this, like having a podcast and being able to speak about dance. There's not too much of a platform for that. It's going around in like a lot of other places in the dance community, like especially with Kinja's podcast. And like a lot of other people are doing podcasts and just like speaking, because I think that's one of the easier ways to get people outside of dance to get like an inside perspective. So things like this is like really good for the community.
This is just a personal thing for me. What's really just driving me right now is 220's first sexy day of the season. Sexy day for 220 is basically just choreo project day. You just show your craft for like 2 days, and it's one of my favorite days. Like, it sounds kind of like over the top, but I try to treat it like a competition, because 220 is a competition team, and we should be pushing ourselves to be better and pushing each other. I'm just excited just to see everyone's choreo projects get inspired, just do work the rest of the season. So shout out to 20 Sexy Day. Look out for your boy Dylan Banares' Sexy Day project with Ranny, Ryan, and David coming soon. # the risk.
The risk. Here we go.
Like the past 2 months, we've been training so much. Maybe like the most we've ever trained.
So we should expect something like crazy from you guys on Sexy Day.
Lower your expectations.
I wouldn't say crazy. I mean,
We're only human.
yeah, it's gonna be really bad.
For good entertainment.
Really bad?
That way when they watch it, they're like blown away. Well, I think everyone will be blown away by whatever it is that you guys come up with.
We're gonna have a big, really big bird in the back. And then fireworks come out.
Training ideas, bro.
Oh yeah.
Top secret.
And then we're gonna have a private jet in the back. We just skydive off of the tallest building in San Diego.
I actually get like what you're setting up, because it's called The Risk, and there's a lot of risk jumping off the tallest building in San Diego. I'm really excited to see it now.
Well, I'm sure, Devin, you had a great time. I had a great time, I think, for 2 reasons. First reason is because you guys hang out with my brother all the time, and I didn't know really who you were, so I felt like I got to know you today, so thank you so much. 220 is like a big deal. I can say full-heartedly that I think you are all amazing people, dancers, and just human beings, and I'm very happy that Dylan has found some lifelong friends to kick it with.
We'll leave links to everybody's social handles so you guys can check out what they're doing in the dance community right now and keep up with them, because they're going to come out with a lot of amazing stuff. Yeah, you guys don't want to miss it.
Shout out to my awesome sisters for putting this together. This is definitely a blessing, just to have my friends and have my sister here and just talk about dance.
Well, thanks for coming in. This was a really cool conversation, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds for you. Thank you so much for listening to the Collab podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please show your support by leaving a review on iTunes.
And be sure to subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts.
The conversation continues over on Instagram and YouTube with highlights from today's episode.
Painting. That's my sunshine when it's raining. That's my boo, yeah. Yeah, when I'm all alone, she pulled through. So when I catch that wave, we gon' move. But then again, we probably won't. Cause I know she like to stay at home. And she probably gon' shoot me dead before the devil try to take my soul.